So this is part 4 of creating the horizontal dumbbell chart in chartjs 4. So what we're going to do now is start working on creating these circular shapes around here at the beginning, or here at the beginning and at the end. So to do this, first of all, let's convert the colors of these into a solid black. I'll make this solid, same here. So we have saved that, refresh, and to be honest that looks kind of strong. Maybe it should be gray or something like that, probably better. Let's make this gray, copy that, put it in here as well, save, refresh. Alright, that looks slightly better. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to scroll down here, and before I even start with the circles, because this circle here will be of course too tight, I need to change and give this a bit more length. What we could do is just start at 40 instead of starting at 0, but we're going to use some tricks for that one. So what I'm going to say here, on the X scale, let's fine tune that a little bit. We're going to say first of all, the min value will be 40. Save that. There we are. That makes it slightly bigger. Maybe it needs to be bigger eventually, but we'll see about that. Next, what I want to do here is position, and then we say here top. And what this does is moves the scale to the very top. That looks much better. All right. What we're going to do now is start making the circles. So what I'm going to say here, not here but here, we're going to create here, and I'll say this will be the dumbbell itself. So this will be the dumbbell circles or dumbbell chart. You can give it anything you want. I'll just put it in here like dumbbell, and then we're going to say a constant dumbbell equals the ID of dumbbell, and then we want to say here for this dumbbell we want to draw this on top of our bars. So that will mean after the data sets has been drawn, in that case I want to have chart, arcs, and plugin options. Then what I'm going to say here, object destructuring. If you don't know about this, I will explain it. Check out my video in the description box. What I'm going to get here for the object destructuring, I guess CTX is important. We will have the data and probably the scales. I'm not sure, we can even probably remove that one, but let's leave it as it is. So what we're going to do now is a few things. We want to create the shape, so I'm going to say ctx.begin path, and first of all ctx.save. Save all variables above, and then we say begin path to create a shape that's independent of all. Then what I want to do is I want to get the color. I will say ctx.fill style, and the fill style will be the solid red color we use above. So I'm just going to grab this one, put it in here, and say this will be a solid color. Then what I want to do is start drawing the item. So I'm going to say ctx.arc, and an arc allows us to create shapes or curved shapes basically, but also circles. So what it needs is it needs 6 specific values. It needs the x coordinate, the y coordinate, which is the starting point for the circle, the radius. Then what it needs is the angle start, and then we have here the angle end. And then finally we have here counterclockwise, yes or no. In this case, it does not matter. We want a full circle, so counterclockwise we set on false, because that will only be important depending on these angles. But in this case, you will not need it at all. So what I'm going to do here is constant angle. I need to make sure that the angle is being calculated, because this here normally is in a math.pi, or the pi. 2 pi equals a full circle. I don't want to use that. That will be too complicated. So what I'm going to say here, math.pi divided by 180 degrees. And the reason why is very simple. 1 pi is a half circle, so that's 180 degrees. So what we can do here is basically say angle multiply by 0, which makes it 0, so you can argue just remove it. I'll just leave it in there just for the sake of it, so you understand the logic. And then we say here we want to have a 360, or basically a full circle. So once we do this, then we can say a ctx.fill to check if we get our shape. And of course, before I even do anything else, because I'm getting ahead of myself, we have not yet defined the x and y values. So for this, I need to check basically our bar items. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to comment this out for now, and we're going to use a functionality as well we can do here the console log, and then we're going to say chart dot get data set meta index 0, but this is a parenthesis because this is a functionality built in chart.js. Then we're going to see data index 0. Let's save this for now, refresh, and then open up the developer tab. You can see here we get the bar element details, and we get a lot of interesting information that we need. For example, here we have the base, which is this one here, and the base is this here. So that will mean that we could get basically the base coordinates. So we say constant x start, which is basically x, would be this dot base. So that's the first one. Then what we want to have is, if I open up here, we have more. We have here even the x and y value. So the x value is basically the value at the very end, and the y value is exactly the position here. So this here might not really be necessary, but well, let's see. Don't worry about it. We're going to check. So I'm going to say constant. Then we say x end, or that will be later on probably important, which is basically equal to chart dot x. But then I also want to have the y value. So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to say here this will be the y position. I'll just say here y pause, and this will be the y here. Alright, so now let's start to work on this. So the radius here, I'm going to say a constant radius, and just give it a value for now. Later on I'm going to work on that. Let's say here 10. So then we have a constant of radius, and then we have x and y. So let's get here the x start and put in here the y position. If I save this, refresh, as you can see here now, it starts to work. Of course, right now it's just exactly at the starting point because of the radius, so I need to move it a little bit more. What I also want is to make sure we have the thickness. So what we can do here is figuring out how we can get this radius. Well, or sorry, not the radius, sorry. How can we get the proper thickness, which is basically the radius? So if I go here into the bar element, we have here somewhere the height, which indicates 40 pixels. So basically this to this is 40 pixels. So then we have here our radius, which is basically the information we need. Is height. Let's save that. Refresh. Alright, interesting. The height, this is correct. So the height is double the size of our item right now. Well, basically the height is the correct size from top to bottom of the bar, which is the bar thickness. However, radius is basically from the center to one of the edges of the circle, meaning one radius, or if you have two radius, you have the diameter. So right now we have here a diameter instead of the radius, so I need to divide this by 2. Then we get the perfect size. Now what I want to do, I want to move this a bit more to the right. So what I'm going to say here, the radius, let's move this more to the right, so we say plus. There we are, exactly matching. And then I do notice that the issue here is that the values are too limited, so I'm going to just adjust this here. Let's make this 120. Say that will look more better. So now what I want to do is same logic at the right side. So I'm going to scroll down, and let's look. Where are we? No, sorry, that's this one here. You can copy basically this item here. Just grab the new color. It's going to grab this blue color, and the blue color will be here, but say this will be solid. And then of course here the X end. If I save this, refresh, you can see here we're sticking out here because we do plus radius. I need to deduct now because I want to push it 50% to the left. Doing that, we get now a beautiful bar with a dumbbell style.